May 12th, Chambers Insights into the Economic Impact of the Coronavirus. Chris Seinecker joining me. How are you, sir?
Fantastic, Joe. It's a beautiful day. We're in the middle of a reopen and life is good, so I can't complain about anything right now. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. Getting ready to go under the knife for back surgery on Friday, so that'll be interesting. But hopefully, won't miss a beat here. And one of the things I've been looking forward to the most as we've reopened is getting some more art back in my head. I miss being able to stroll around during the art walks and the events and things like that. So I'm definitely feeling an art deficiency right now.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we jump into that, let me just first of all say, I heard you mention you're going to go get some work done. So we're all praying for you, buddy. And I know it's just a minor procedure, but we all care a lot about you, Joey. So get yourself well so you can tell our story for a long time coming. So we'll be saying good things about you on Friday. But yeah, before we get into it, I really do. I want to talk about how do you reopen a gallery. We're going to be talking to Duncan McClellan today about what his struggles are and opportunities he's creating. But before we get started, I just really want to review the data. How are we doing? And as a community, if we're going to reopen, we got to stay safe. So let me quickly try to do this and get everybody the information that we're going to need to tell this story. All right. So hopefully you see in front of you, Joe, is some data. This is for Pinellas County. This is as of today. What we're really proud of are a couple things. First of all, this overall percent positive. As you remember, the mayor mentioned that we needed to keep under 6% for him to be feeling positive about things. Right now, we're at 4.1. Keep in mind, this is a cumulative number. So when we are, so this is starting to go down, rightly so, but I'm going to show you what our daily numbers are, and it's even less. So we're working down this number, but it was 4.8 last time I showed it to you guys. So we're down to 4.1. And here's the weekly numbers over here on the right side of the screen, Joe, where you see this line chart. You can see right now how it's gone down. So this is the percentage of it. So as of this last week, we were less than 2% of our folks that were being tested. And the other thing we all talked about is, are we going to get tested enough? So this is the chart on the bottom right corner that shows you how many tests are being taken. So the green are the negative tests and the red are the positive cases. So that's why you see this kind of, you can almost see the red starting to get smaller, but it's staying consistent with the number of it. So in our heads, we're saying the directional is still going the right direction. This is another way to look at it. But just as of yesterday, this is how many number of negative cases, and this is how many positive cases just for Pinellas County. So this is our neighbors, family, and friends, where 18 of us learned we had COVID, and so that's at 2%. So you can see back even 2 weeks ago, we were at 3.8%. So we've almost cut it in half, and that's the trend you want to continue to see. And finally, Joe, the last part is just how are we doing in the hospitals? So this is emergency room visits and COVID-like symptoms. You can see, again, from a high up here 2 weeks ago, we're starting to see the trends down. So all indications are from what from the president to the governor to the mayor has asked, we continue to do it. One number we should watch, Joe, because I don't want to be the Pollyanna just saying numbers are good. There's one number I am concerned about. It's this 14-day average case. We wanted all of our numbers to go down. This spiked back up a little bit, so now it's at 12.7. So if you average out the number of cases, we're at 12.7, which is still low, but going up. And I just wanted to show everybody, this is how it's peaked up a little bit. So it's not, again, we talked about our peak being up by the 25 around April 10th and 11th and 9th. And now we're starting to see a little bit of peak back up, but over the trend, it's still down. But this is the number we're definitely going to watch, Joe. I think this is the one where we all should say, hey, in early indications, but we're only 1 week into the reopen. So next week at this time, if we're way back up here, we're going to have some issues to talk about as far as how we reopen. If we stay in this, I imagine next week we're going to get into phase 2 by some of our government officials. So right now it looks like we're moving in the right direction, but caution should be in our area.
Yeah, and really that number, it's understanding the relative nature of the stats. That number is the one that gets the most pressure when you test more, right? Because that's just a raw number. So if you double your testing, realistically, you're going to always find more cases. So your hard number is going to go up, but then that's sort of tempered by the fact that the percentage is going down. So just understanding how the numbers play with the total number of testing going up. Theoretically, people who have symptoms in the early days were tested more frequently. Therefore, you're going to get a higher percentage of positives as they're spreading. The testing becomes more ubiquitous without symptoms and things like that. Then you're going to have less people testing positive. So
I think these numbers are numbers we're just going to, we're going to learn, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks from now, we're all going to be experts at how to really understand them. But what I don't want is just like that. If you catch just a major headline of the U.S. news and how many more deaths there were in COVID and how bad it is, us as consumers, us as family, we get really nervous. And so is it still unsafe? Yeah, the virus is still out there. If you're vulnerable, you should be really taking precautions. But if you own a business right now, you should be talking about how can I reopen safely when they tell me I can. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And let's talk about something we love to talk about, which is the art. St. Pete is an arts community. There was one gentleman who showed up a while back who really gave us the confidence to call ourselves that. That's Duncan McClellan. Let's bring him in. Let's talk about how we get his gallery open. And there he is. Look at that guy.
Hi, Chris.
Welcome, buddy. How are you?
Oh, doing fine.
Man, what a beautiful setting. That is not a picture in the backdrop. Is that just your place? Is that how beautiful it really is?
Both. It is one of our gallery shows, but it is a backdrop.
Oh, okay. You fooled me there because it's just so pretty there, I tell you. Well, Duncan, I know everybody knows you, but just tell people a little bit. How long have you been here? When did you get here? And just a little bit about yourself. I know people know this, but there might be some new viewers for us.
Well, I bought the building in 2009, and we built an art glass gallery that's respected all over the country with some incredible artists. We now represent over 100 very talented artists from all around the world. And we're also an educational charity, DMG School Project, which we service a lot of kids in the neighborhood. We do residencies. Right now, we're feeding some of the kids in our neighborhood with boxes of fresh fruits and toilet paper and hand sanitizers and that kind of thing.
Any of that fruit from your own trees there? I know you're an amateur arborist too. You grown any of that for them or no?
Well, for the amount of food that we've been buying, I couldn't supply what we've been buying in a given week.
I'm just joking around, but those of you who've been blessed to be at your place, you've created quite the experience. I know it's where you live and where it's your home, and that's why you want to stay safe. But you've given us all a gift, and we appreciate that. And I know it's been a struggle for you. So before we talk about the reopening, for the last 6 or 7 weeks, is an artist like you able to do business?
Well, it's like anything else. We started a movement a few years ago of trying to reach our customers more digitally outside of the physical gallery itself. And now, because of the virus, we are really pushing that forward. So it's given us the time to put together, for an example, we're going to be upping our abilities to film in the hot shop so that we will get this a film quality, video quality that we can export all over the world. We're also doing things in the gallery that make a difference too. We're doing more digital catalogs. We're doing more e-blast. We're trying to reach our clients that way. We're not open as of yet. I want to get all our sanitation systems in place. I feel like we'll be ready in a few weeks. And even when we do open, it will end up being more of a by appointment versus being open.
Great. So let's talk about that a little. But before we do on that part, this break, unfortunately, let's call it a break. But these last 8 weeks or whatever this was, some of our businesses like yours, what I hear from this is it actually created an opportunity that you took advantage of. That maybe, Duncan, all along these last year or two, you should have been doing that anyway, right? Like just trying to reach more people virtually. And now you were just gifted that time to do it, right?
Exactly. And it has given us the collective, even though our people are working remotely, for the most part. It does, the collective thought of being able to put this together, it's been very helpful. I never thought I'd enjoy Zoom meetings.
I'll tell you what, but I'm just excited that because I really believe it. I think about how your business, had a very successful gallery with 100 artists and representing a lot of folks. But now just imagine these last 8 weeks has allowed you to really expand your footprint for everybody in that, and kind of by necessity now. And maybe that'll be a good thing. And when you reopen, but let's talk a little bit about reopen. You came to one of our Zoom meetings about just how do you open safely, and you want to do that correctly. We've been talking a little bit about it. So what's on the mind of you when you talk about your gallery, bringing people back in? How do you even approach the subject?
Well, I think you put it very well that every business is unique. We're unique in the sense that we are a gallery. We have an advantage that it's very open air. We have these huge bay doors and exhaust fans. So being in our gallery is almost like being outside. Also, our outside grounds are very conducive for classes, and you have plenty of air volume. The gallery is, we want sanitation, touchless sanitation throughout the building. We're doing that with our soap dispensers, our hand sanitizers, our faucets. So we're converting over to all of that. So you really don't need to touch. We're also purchased a fog machine, the fogger that we can disinfect after everything is totally clean. We can fog the entire building. That will be important for any cloth surfaces, for glass surfaces, for anything that anybody could potentially touch. One of the devices we're looking at, and that will be another Zoom meeting later today, is that information that I sent you yesterday, Chris, about the Patho 3Gen product where you step on it and it kills the virus from your shoes, which in hospitals, it's keeping 34% of the pathogens circulating in the hospital. So that's something we're looking at. And then we're also, for the kids programs we're doing, has a little bit different feel to it. They'll come in another entrance. We have to buy many more tables to keep the kids very separated. We will cut down the amount of children that we can deal with at a given time. We'll have wash stations set up. And we are, for the eventual time period in the fall when we reopen the hot shop, we'll have it to where they can be separated by 6 feet. So these are the things that we're putting in place that I think will make a difference, and we can safely have these children come over.
Wow. And I realize now, yeah, you really do have a couple different kind of business models here, right? You have a school, you have to figure out how to do that, which is completely different than an art gallery and that. So you are really trying to run two different ones. So there's a lot of expense and a lot of challenges there. What are some of the biggest challenges you're facing right now?
Getting the supplies in. Often I'll order them a month. They tell me I have it in order, and the day before it's supposed to be delivered, guess what? We don't have that product. So it's what everybody is dealing with. It's just you have to keep at it.
So with those kind of challenges, you're available to open up now. You're allowed 25% of occupancy. You're considered that you can be reopened based on just you wanting to do it the St. Pete way, the safe way, trying to really help yourself and your family and those who you employ, as well as those customers. When do you anticipate you'll be able to have the kind of supplies, at least to open the gallery part? I know the school might come a little after, but what is the timing on something like that? How do you determine that?
Well, I think we'll have everything in place by June 1st. Also on our website is how people will sign up for a personal shopping experience, if you want to call it that. So we'll be available that way. But I just want to I think the main thing, the St. Pete way, is making sure that everybody feels safe in where they're going. And I think that will, once everything's in place, I will feel safe about having people in. Because businesses are taking a risk, and we want to mitigate the risk as much as possible.
Right on, and I appreciate the confidence you have in just your ideal of what the St. Pete way is, because that's what we're really trying to explain to people is there are places that you can just do all this and not really care, but you and I know that we see each other too many times on the sidewalk in too many other situations, and that's St. Pete in a nutshell. We are a peninsula on a peninsula that depends on each other, and I'm just so proud of what you've done for our community to create us as an arts destination, but also to take the lead in how safety is number one for you as well. You could be wide open right now, just letting people go through just to get some money, but you're choosing the St. Pete way, and we appreciate that.
Well, I mean, it is important. Every company's got to have their staff wearing masks, doing the shields. It's really vitally important that everybody does this. The only hard thing is now where everybody's wearing masks on the street, it's really hard to recognize each other.
Yeah, even my iPhone won't recognize me. So I've got real problems now. All right, so before I leave, Duncan, just what do you miss, or what can't you wait for? What are you looking forward to about this whole thing? What? Give me something to go out with on an optimistic point of view.
Well, one of the things that we've really enjoyed is that I'm really honored that TripAdvisor, we're number one in TripAdvisor. And I look forward to the day that we can have these tourists come back and because we thrive on people seeing our place. Like right now, it's killing me. I have 400 orchids all blooming in the trees and nobody's seeing it. So we're filming it later on today so everybody can see it.
Well, I can't wait. I'm going to do a drive-by just to go see him myself. I won't stop in, but I'd love to see him. Duncan, you are a bloom in our lives. I appreciate what you're doing for us. Joe, thank you for covering this. We are the city of the arts. This is an important piece of us.
I got a Duncan memory I would like to share.
Please.
One of my favorite Catalyst moments, actually, I had Duncan on the SPX podcast, I don't know, about a year ago now, I think.
Yeah.
And we were chatting, maybe a little longer than that. We were talking afterwards, and we had just decided to do our first award, which we did in partnership with Tampa Bay Tech, and it was the Tech Catalyst Award. And I was sort of brainstorming with Duncan on some unusual ideas. And what's Nikolai's last name?
Morse.
Yeah, Nikolai Morse. So he introduced me to one of his, compatriots in the art space or in the glass space, a guy named Nikolai Morse, and we worked on a unique award. What we did was he actually fashioned the Catalyst logo out of glass, and one of his specialties is he mixes electrifiable, I guess, gases and fills the glass up with it. So they're kind of reminiscent of those old things where you could put your hands on them and the electricity would kind of go up and touch your fingers. So here's the piece we ended up with, which is pretty cool, I think.
Oh, wow. It actually does that. Holy cow.
Yeah. And so we awarded this during the Powered Up event at the Mahaffey last year. And I went to Mayor Kreisman. So he says he has it in his office. So if you're ever maybe when they reopen, but if you see the
when you mentioned the idea, I knew he was the perfect artist for you because that is exactly what you were trying to talk about in that award. I'm glad you picked one of our artists in residence.
Yeah, he was great to work with. So it was a great experience, and really, really proud to give that award out.
Great. Well, guys, thank you for allowing me to chat. I appreciate it. Duncan, thank you for providing us this insight into your gallery. Good luck on the opening. Enjoy the blooms while they're out there. And Joe, thank you very much for allowing us to be part of the show today.
All right. See you guys.
Thank you very much, guys.